Hey, AOK Knives. Got my third knife in. Actually, I got all of them but one in. But I'm doing my review on the third knife of Fixed Blade Knife Week. And that would be the Artisan Cutlery Sea Snake. It's $40. Another neck knife. Now, I kind of come to the realization everything I ordered are basically neck knives. I think 3 of them might not be out of the 7. 4 of them are. Maybe 5. I haven't opened up a couple of the boxes and I still haven't gotten one. So, this is the Artisan Sea Snake. Okay, I'm a big fan of Artisan Cutlery. Yes. I'm a big fan of Wharncliffe blades. Yes. I'm a fan of full flat grinds. Yes. I'm a fan of jimping. Yes. I'm a fan of big finger choils and sharpening choils to choke up on the knife. Yes. I'm a fan of handles that actually go the full length of my hand. Yes. Even on small neck knives, I like this. Now, I think the CRKT falls short on that. See what I mean? And I'm kind of okay with it because it does have the jimping and a nice choil right here kind of thing. It's not really choil. It's a finger hole. Whatever. Groove. Yeah. But that's a little short. But I like how this lanyard's kind of beefy so you can kind of use your pinky on the lanyard to keep control of that. Yeah. So that's that. But what I like about this is I've got with my finger in there and with my finger not in there, it's still almost close. You know what I mean? But when I put my finger in there and I choke up, yeah. So this knife's got G10 scales, and it's a full tang. And full tang, as you may well know. So like this is the hilt area that bumps out and keeps your finger from going up onto the blade. It just kind of helps a little bit. And then the tang would be what's considered the full piece of metal. So this piece of metal has been grinded and sharpened to be the blade. And this goes through the whole handle, so it pretty much ensures that you'll never have a situation where your handles break from your blade because of whatever. Because sometimes they'll make them, and this little piece of metal goes right to here and stops. And then your knife will crack off at the bottom because it's not strong enough to withhold any kind of serious pressure. Yeah, that's my lesson on knives, because that's the easy parts. The hard parts is understanding what AR RPM 9 steel is, which I believe is a powdered metal, kind of powdered steel. And what that would be is like a lot of times steel's made in a larger version. So say you have like pieces of metal. Say these are all pieces of metal, right? Like this. And they'll throw the metal in a cauldron, a pot, a ladle, okay? And that's your scrap metal. And that scrap metal has to meet certain levels of metallurgy in order for it to go for a certain heat of steel. So they would take that metal from some of the best parts of a train track, or from a bridge, or from something that's destroyed and scrapped. You know, from a car. You know, maybe some parts of a car is much more sought after than, say, other parts of the car. So you have stuff that's like pot metal. You got cheap steel. You got cheap whatever. They don't care what kind of scrap they use. They'll use anything. They'll use the side off the door, you know, sheet metal, whatever, and all that. But let me get back to the point. So you take all that, you put it in a pot. Then you got to add molten iron. That's always the best way to make steel is iron. I don't know if there's many other ways. I think you can actually just do scrap, and there's ways where they do it with electro furnaces. But say what I'm talking about is probably crude steel, where you have the scrap in the ladle, then you pour hot molten iron into that, and then you heat that up to a certain temperature. I think like 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but I believe whenever I worked in the steel mill, we wanted our heat temperatures to be somewhere in that range, in between, I think, 1200 and 1400. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been so long. All right. So now you're heating that ladle up with whatever ways, a forge. I don't know. You know, like when I worked in the steel mill, it was a basic oxygen furnace. We call it the BOF. And they drop an oxygen lance down into this huge thing. And Man, it was like 4th of July. It was pretty cool. A lot of noise, a lot of just sparks, a lot of stuff going everywhere. Same thing with the electric. Electric arc furnaces are, I mean, they're crazy. Sound effects. But man, I tell you what, you have that. And what that does is, because the scrap metal has already had its own form and its own principles and its own background, those all have to merge together. It's like, it would be kind of like making a cake with other pieces of cake, right? That's already made. And you throw it in the pot, and then you're going to add icing into there, and you got to mix that up. Well, that would be a harder way to make cake than just using the powdered steel, the powdered materials. So using powdered steel materials, it's very fine. You know what I mean? It's just like, say, sand. And you pour it in the ladle, and now it's just probably a quicker, more refined, better way to dial in on the certain things that you really want to have in your principles, in the principles of your steel. So like if chromium is really important, you can really dial in on chromium using powdered materials. You can really dial in on the, say, the manganese. You can really dial in on just all the different principles of the steel that you're trying to make. So to get to that point, AR RPM 9 is I believe, a good powdered steel way to make steel. It's not the best, because then you're getting up in the CPM, 154. You're getting all in these different ranges, I guess, that where they use that as well. So, you have Damascus and stuff like that. It's another way to make steel. There's all kinds of ways to make steel, and that's one of them. Artisan Cutlery likes AR RPM 9. If they like it, I like it. From my experience with it, I haven't had to sharpen it much, because I've only owned 2 Artisan Cutlery knives, and that's the Ahab and the Feldspar, and I only dulled the blade on the Feldspar once, and I stropped it and it was fine. You know what I mean? But it was kind of dull, and I just stropped it. So that's cool. All right, guys. So that is the third day of the week, third knife, and it's the Wharncliffe Artisan Sea Snake. And I like it a lot, guys. The G10 is smooth. It is not grippy, but that's okay. It will be grippy and get grippier as time progresses as you use it. The neck sheath is cool. I like it. It holds the knife in really good, just like the other ones do. This could be a little bit longer, Artisan. I can always put a new one on because it's just a piece of rope, and I probably will. But this, on me, being a bigger guy with a fat neck, it's a little tight. This is $40 on Amazon. And I suggest you get it, because it just passed up the CRKT. Where's she at? I just had the CRKT out. Oh, there it is. CRKT with, this has G10 as well. A little bit grippier. Yeah. Another Wharncliffe. Really cool knife, man. Really cool. Sticks in there. Belt thing goes in. Scout carry. You're ready to rock and roll. And then, of course, there's the cheese spreader. I'm giving this knife grief. Probably because it deserves it. Because it looks like a cheese spreader. Yep. There's your update. I think this is probably going to make its way into my wife's charcuterie board set inside in the house. And we're going to take it camping. If you saw the other video, camping with the cheese spread knife. Yep. Glamping with this one. All right, guys. That's it. Artisan Cutlery. Yeah. Knife fighting in a town near you. Deuces. Always be a gentleman. And don't let your meat loaf.